Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to another Arc Garage video. Today I'm gonna go over 15 things you might be doing wrong when it comes to maintenance on Alfa Romeo Giulietta. We're gonna start with one of the most important things, and that's gonna be the oil replacement interval. Now, the factory oil replacement interval for Alfa Romeo Giulietta is 30,000 kilometers, which is ludicrous. Replace the oil on your car every 8 to 10,000 kilometers. Do not pay too much attention to the brand. Just grab yourself some decent oil and use the oil interval that I've just told you. You can easily do this yourself, and each oil change is only going to cost you maybe like 30 euros, which is nothing compared to the damage that's going to occur if you don't replace your oil regularly. Moving on to coolant, replace the coolant on this car every couple of years to keep your cooling system functioning properly, and also to keep the heater matrix from clogging up, which is quite a common issue on this car. One more thing that I gotta add, fill it up to the minimum point. The reason for that is if you fill it up when the car is cooled to the max line, when the car heats up, the coolant is gonna escape this pressure cap. The problem is in these caps they tend to fail prematurely and they cause this particular issue. So if you are checking your coolant and it's at the min line, don't be worried, your car is not losing it. Another thing you got to pay attention to is the gearbox oil. Now, Alfa didn't fit the most quality gearboxes in these cars, and the way to prevent any potential damage is to replace the oil regularly. Next, we got the rear negative camber. Now, while the camber can be adjusted on the rear wheels, the problem usually lies in the worn out bushings. Now, the bushings that I'm talking about are going to be these right here, also at the top, these right there, and the same goes for these bushings. Then we got the anti-roll bar bushings, which are gonna be these ones right here. Now, failure to lubricate them from time to time is gonna cause that squeaky sound when you are going over the speed bumps and things like that. Now, to lubricate them, you can use a silicone spray, but ideally it would be best to remove them and grease them up using a silicone grease. Next, we got the timing belt. Do not follow the factory recommendation. Replace these at 100k kilometers at the most. If it snaps, it's gonna cause a lot of damage to your engine and it's gonna cost you a lot to repair it. This next one I'm also guilty of, and that's the failure to replace the spark plugs on time, which can cause various issues like engine misfire, poor acceleration, and things like that. Now, the iridium and platinum spark plugs should be replaced every 50k kilometers, while the regular spark plugs should be replaced every 20 to 30k. Moving on to interior door handles. Now, it's quite common that they snap on these cars, usually right here. Now, they made them in such a way that they are fused with the door card itself, and they are quite tricky to replace just the handle. Do not buy the whole door card, it's gonna cost you a lot more. I've actually done a video where I show you how to replace just the handle, and I'll put it down in the description below. Another very common issue on these cars is the failure of the rear wiring looms. There's one more on the other side and the wires inside break. The mistake you might be making here is waiting too long to get this fixed. If you leave this unattended, a lot of these wires are not protected by the fuses, and there's a huge chance that you might burn your body control module. You also gotta deal with rust on time. Just use a wire brush and a drill to get as much of it off as you can. Be thorough, and when you are done with that, just use a brush and the paint, which you can apply directly to rust to treat the affected areas. Do not use the rubberized undercoating. That stuff can make this problem significantly worse, since it can trap the moisture inside. There are also different products that you can use for this purpose, but in my experience, this is what worked best for me. Now, this area is going to be safe from rust for several years. Another thing you might be doing wrong is paying someone to fix all of the little things that break on this car due to the cheap plastics, like the storage compartment, fuel flap, gear knob, and things like that. Now, I've did the videos on how to fix all of those things, and I'll put them down in the description below. By fixing them yourself, you will be able to save a lot of money. Another very common mistake that people do is that they install the new brake pads on old discs. Now, you either have to install the new discs or the old ones need to be cut so there's a new surface. If you fail to do that, you're gonna get squeaky brakes. Moving on to the climate controls. Now, one of the most common issues on these cars is the failure of the recirculation motor. The small plastic piece just breaks off. Now, if you take your car to a shop to get that fixed, they're gonna remove the whole dash, and that's gonna cost you a lot of money. You can also do this yourself. The job is a bit tricky and it does require a lot of effort and patience, but you will be able to save a lot of money by doing it yourself. Besides that, the motors for the hot cold for the passenger and for the driver's side can also fail, and it's basically the same story. You can replace it yourself without removing the dash. If you got Alfa Romeo Giulietta with the MultiAir unit, the mistake you might be making is not replacing the MultiAir filter. If you fail to do that, it can result in a lot of damage to your engine, which is easily preventable by a very cheap part. Here's another mistake that you can do, and I've actually done this myself. Now, since I don't have the alignment machine at my garage, I had to take the car to another garage, and it turned out they weren't very good at it. Now, you can adjust the alignment both on the front and on the rear wheels on Alfa Romeo Giulietta. Now, the front wheels were good, and they tried to adjust the camber and they messed the whole thing up. The car was pulling abnormally to the left side, and they tried to fix this 3 times, but they weren't able to do it. Now, they have to move this control arm right here for an alignment, and I was able to see how much they moved it toward the inside, and I was able to revert everything they did, so I got my car running straight. So there you go, those were the 15 things that you gotta pay close attention to when it comes to maintenance of Alfa Romeo Giulietta. Now, I gotta admit that sometimes I'm not on top of that list as well, but I try to be as much as I can. Anyway, that would be all for this video. I hope you find it useful. If you did, hit that like button and support our channel by subscribing and by sharing our content with the rest of car enthusiasts.